And then I have to go in and I have to hustle for my worth. I got the Oscar, I got the Emmy, I got the 2 Tonys. I've done Broadway, I've done off-Broadway, I've done TV, I've done film, I've done all of it. I have a career that's probably comparable to Meryl Streep, Julianne Moore, Sigourney Weaver. They all came out of Yale. They came out of Juilliard. They came out of NYU. They had the same path as me. And yet, I am nowhere near them. Not as far as money, not as far as job opportunities, nowhere close to it. And I have fabulous agents, by the way. They are getting it. But I have to get on that phone and people say, "You're a black Meryl Streep." You are, and we love you. We love you. There is no one like you. Okay, then if there's no one like me, you think I'm that, you pay me what I'm worth. You give me what I'm worth.
Hi, my name is Tammy and welcome back to my channel. Today I am going to discuss the treatment of Black women in Hollywood in the past, present, and the foreseeable future. And what does all of this have to do with the Wizard of Oz? Well, let's get into it. So as you probably know, there has been a lot of conversation going on around lately about the treatment of Black women in Hollywood. But I thought it would be very important before we jump to the present day issues to go back to the past first, to see how we even got here in the first place and tie it all together. So let's start with old Hollywood. In the early 19th and 20th centuries, African Americans were not allowed to be actors or appear in film. Instead, white actors portrayed Black actors by using what is known as blackface, the practice of non-Black performers using theatrical makeup to portray a caricature of Black people on stage or in entertainment, which contributed to the spread of racial stereotypes. At the beginning of the 20th century, when roles were starting to become available for African Americans, they were under limited themes such as rags to riches stories, thug lifestyles, and segregation. And the roles were stereotypical with characters such as the Tom, someone who served white people, the Coon, someone who was clown-like, goofy, and naive, the Mulatto, someone who was trying to pass for white, the Buck, usually a male who's hyper-objectified and seen as a threat, and probably the most popular for women, the Mammy, a woman who was seen as asexual, a maid and caretaker of the young. This lasted for a while, and then by the 1920s, the Harlem Renaissance exploded onto the scene. The Harlem Renaissance was an intellectual and cultural revival of African American music, dance, art, fashion, literature, politics, scholarships, and theater centered in Harlem, Manhattan, and New York City, spanning from the 1920s to the 1930s. The Harlem Renaissance was a result of people relocating after the Great Migration to cities like Chicago, Los Angeles, Detroit, Philadelphia, and New York. The Harlem section of Manhattan drew nearly 175,000 African Americans, giving the neighborhood the largest concentration of Black people in the world, which consisted of some of the most talented scholars and artists in the world. It is documented as one of the most significant eras of cultural expression in history. Because this time was so influential and a sign of a changing world, it liberated Black artists and inspired their continued fight for freedom and artistic expression, which heavily impacts the entertainment world today. So if you were around during this time, during the Harlem Renaissance, if you were an actor, a writer, dancer, musician, scholar, this was the time. This was a time for you to show your skills. This was a time that you were celebrated. This was a time for you to blow up. Now, continuing on to the 50s, after the Civil Rights Movement, there was still a fight for inclusion for Black actors. This push finally led to productions sung with an all or mainly Black cast, such as films like St. Louis Blues, Porgy and Bess, and Carmen Jones, one of my personal favorites, starring Dorothy Dandridge. Although things were starting to get a little better, there was still inequality and discrimination. And speaking of Dorothy Dandridge, she was one of the most popular Black actresses during this time, and she stated that as a performer, she still had to enter through back doors, was given inadequate dressing rooms or no dressing room, and wasn't allowed to use the restrooms. A venue owner even had his entire pool drained after being told that Dorothy Dandridge stuck her toe in the water. Just imagine being a Black actress or a Black performer and being invited to a venue or to a party to entertain, and then being told that you can't use the restroom. You don't even have a dressing room to really get changed in. And just imagine Dorothy Dandridge during this time thinking, I'm a Black performer, I'm an actress, I am still not being treated fairly, I'm still being treated poorly, even as an entertainer, but I am going to make a path for the Black actresses and performers coming behind me. Just imagine her thinking that, and then fast forwarding to today with the controversy surrounding the set of the movie The Color Purple. So a couple of actresses spoke out about issues of not having their own trailers, not having food, and having to get rental cars to drive themselves to and from set. But most notably, Taraji P. Henson spoke out about her struggle with not being paid her worth as a Black actress. And if you don't know Taraji's work, she has been in several high-profile movies, such as Benjamin Button, Hustle and Flow, the TV show Empire, and most recently, of course, The Color Purple. Now, this is not the first time we have heard Black actresses speak out about not being treated fairly or having pay disparities. Other Black actresses throughout history have also spoken out, just to name a few, Gabrielle Union, Viola Davis, and Monique, the actress and comedian. Now that we got a little history about how Black actresses were treated in old Hollywood, now I want to discuss 3 very present issues that Black actresses are dealing with in new Hollywood. Number 1, lack of representation and opportunity. There is still a lot of stereotypical roles being offered and written for Black women. There is still a lack of starring roles for Black women, which leads to less opportunities. And there is still a lack of inclusion when it comes to the acknowledgement and awards when it comes to Black actresses. Just to give you a few stats. So as a whole, including Black women and Black men combined, since the Academy Awards were first handed out in 1929, only 22 Oscars have been awarded to performances given by Black actresses and Black actors. Only 22. Hattie McDaniel was the first Black woman to win an Oscar for Best Supporting Role in 1939 for depicting a strong-willed house servant in Gone with the Wind. Dorothy Dandridge was the first Black woman to be nominated for an Oscar for a leading role in 1954 for Carmen Jones, and Halle Berry is the only Black actress to win an Oscar for her role in The Monstrous Ball in 2001. And no Black actress has won that category since. Let that just soak in for a second. So from 1929 to now, 2024, there has only been one Black actress to win an Academy Award for a leading role. Now, for the ones that have won Academy Awards, there has also been criticism that when they do win the award, it's for domestic, subservient, or stereotypical roles. For example, Hattie McDaniel, who won for portraying a house servant. Other wins that have been criticized is Monique in the movie Precious, and Octavia Spencer and Viola Davis in the movie The Help. Also, speaking of The Help, there was some controversy surrounded around its nominations because Octavia was the only African American to win an award that night, and the two that were nominated, which were Octavia Spencer and Viola Davis, were both nominated for portrayals of domestic roles. A lot of Black actresses have also come forth and stated that they are tired of playing the friend, the token, the subservient, the sidekick, or characters that are not fully realized and don't have storylines. When there is a lack of roles being written for Black actresses, that leads to less opportunities and less representation on screen. I think I read somewhere that 90% of roles written in Hollywood are for white actors. And seeing the token black person in a movie is one of my personal pet peeves. And it's because these characters, they kind of come in and out. They don't really have a storyline. You don't really know much about them. They only magically appear and disappear. Just depending on what the story needs, they kind of help further the story along, or they just kind of help the main character deal with what they're dealing with, and they don't have any kind of arc. Another pet peeve of mine is when they use the same black actors over and over and over. And it has been a big thing in Hollywood where there can only be one. You know, if this actor or actress is a hot person right now, they have to do every movie, every role. And they don't have to do that. There are so many black actors and actresses out here that are trained, that are ready to work, that have gone to acting conservatories, that have trained in theater, that have trained in film. And I'm not talking about the actors that just want to act for the sake of acting, or they want the fame or the glitz or the glamour. I'm talking about the ones that are passionate, that have studied and trained for years, that have studied 5 years straight, 10 years straight before even auditioning. Those kind of actors. And just to give you a few more statistics, Jackie Harry became the first black woman to be awarded Outstanding Supporting Actress in a Comedy Series when she won for playing Sandra Clark on NBC's 227 way back in 1987. And then Shirley Raff, 35 years later, won that award for Best Supporting Actress in a Comedy when she won for her role in Abbott Elementary. And then Quinta Brunson is the first black woman to win an Emmy for Best Actress in a Comedy in over 40 years. The win made her the first black woman to win the category since Isabel Sanford won in 1981 for The Jeffersons. Number 2, hair and makeup. So this is a big one. No matter what level of acting you're on, whether you're an A-lister, starting in the middle, or just starting out, the hair and makeup situation is something that most, if not all, black actresses deal with. So with the black hair, our hair comes in many different textures, just like our skin tone comes in many different shades. Some of us have kinky hair, curly hair, curly hair, wavy hair, straight hair. Some of us have a combination of hair textures. For example, I have about 3 different curl patterns in my hair, from kinky to curly to wavy. And then if the humidity hits our hair, sometimes our hair can shrink into an afro, making it look this long when it's really this long. And if water hits it, it can within minutes go from straight to curly. Our hair is literally magic that way. But because of the different dynamics of our hair, it can be hard to style or maintain a style. So oftentimes when black actresses arrive on set for hair and makeup, if the person is not black or well versed in black hair, they don't know what to do. And that's why most black actresses wear wigs or come with their hair already done, or they bring their hair and makeup products and they do their own hair and makeup on set, which poses as a problem because, like our counterparts, we want to be able to go on set and not have to worry about doing our hair and doing our own makeup. But at the same time, we don't want to risk going on camera looking crazy or bad.
And the lovely people who were running the makeup and hair department. She said to me, you don't have to worry. We have you completely covered, because Lena Horne was here last week and we have her makeup. We kept it. And I sat with my, I'm a New Yorker, and you didn't hear mistakes like that very often. And I said, so did you use the makeup that you had for Ann Sheridan? Did you use that on Marilyn Monroe? It would have saved us all a lot of money. She said, no, what are you talking about? I said, well, they're both blondes. They're both white. You could have used them. And she said, oh. I said, we got it. If you look at me carefully, and if we do a color chart, as we should, you'll see that many Black Americans are many different colors. And let's start from the beginning. And as we build this person whose name is Julia, we'll find out what her color is and what her hair texture is and what all of the things we need to know.
And a lot of times Black actresses wear wigs to protect their hair. A lot of times when hairstylists don't know what to do with black hair, they oftentimes just flat iron it or put a lot of heat on it to straighten it. But our hair is naturally dry, and we have to keep it moisturized, and excessive heat can definitely break our hair off. And I could tell you myself as an actress, there have been a couple of times where I have gone on set where I could tell the stylist did not know what to do with my hair. And you can tell when they don't know what to do, because once you get in the chair for your hair and makeup, things start to just kind of go quiet. They kind of fidget around, they kind of give you like an awkward look. They kind of start looking and touching through your hair as if they're trying to figure it out. You can just tell they don't really know what to do. And as the talent, as the actress, you don't want to tell someone how to do their job. You don't want someone to feel insulted. You don't want to step out of place. You definitely don't want to offend anybody, but at the same time, you don't want someone in your hair not knowing what they're doing. And some people say, it's just hair, what's the big deal? Well, it is a big deal because there are certain products that we use to maintain our hair. There are certain cultural things that we do to achieve a desired look or to keep our hair controlled the way we want it controlled. If we're on set and we're acting and our character is supposed to have a straight, sleek look, there are certain things that we have to do to our hair to keep it straight and sleek. If our character is supposed to have a curly look, there are certain products that we may need to use to keep the curls intact. And if you don't know those products, if you haven't dealt with black hair, it may be hard or difficult for you to figure out what to do on the spot. And it can also be a very heavy feeling because you tend to feel like you're the problem, you're the issue. You tend to feel out of place, outcasted, because you see your counterparts getting their hair done, they're in and out of the makeup chair, and with you, it seems to be an issue. And also, when I studied theater in college, I took a class called stage makeup. It teaches you how to do makeup for the stage, but you can take those same teachings and apply it to regular makeup. So it was kind of exciting because we had all ordered our makeup. So when it came in, we were all very excited. And I remember we were getting our makeup, and there were only two black girls in this class, me and another black girl who had dark skin. And I remember when our makeup came in and the teacher was passing it out, I remember her talking to the other black girl, and she said, and I remember it verbatim because it really stuck with me to this day. She said, I don't do black skin. So as far as your makeup training, you're kind of going to have to teach yourself. She said it just like that. And I remember, like, I was walking by and I heard that, and I knew that probably pertained to me too. And then I remember as the class went along and we were doing the makeup sessions, there was no assistance. Me and the other black girl, we were kind of teaching ourselves, and then our counterparts, they were getting the training, the assistance, and we kind of just went with the flow. And I remember feeling and thinking to myself, like, why didn't I say anything? And I know they say in life you should not have regrets, but I do regret not speaking up and saying anything. I didn't know what to say at the time, but I wish I would have said something. And my thing is, this goes for the hairstylist and the makeup artist. You cannot fully call yourself a makeup artist or a hairstylist if you are not well versed in all areas of hair. Now, I understand if you don't know how to do textured hair or black hair, you should definitely go get the training, get the education that you need, the scientific education as well as the cultural education. There's no excuse for you to be a hairstylist or a makeup artist working with black actors, white actors, different ethnicities, and not being able to do their hair, especially if you're in the entertainment business, because there's going to come a time where you will have to do textured hair and you need to know your craft. The same as me as an actor. I can't go on set and say, okay, well, today is Wednesday. I can act on Wednesdays. I can only act on Fridays and Saturdays. Or I can act when it's raining outside. I can only act when it's sunny outside. If you're an actor, if you're an artist, whatever your craft is, you need to know how to do your craft across the board. And if you don't, go get the training that you need. It's not an excuse to say, I don't do black hair or I don't do black makeup. And before we go to number 3, here are a few black actresses that have spoken out about this issue. Actress Golda Rochevelle from Queen Charlotte speaks about good and bad experiences. She said in the interview, it's extraordinary on one hand and very heavy on the other. I remember my initial chats with hair and makeup and being really, really shocked that they wanted to just tease my own hair out and had that as a kind of front line of the wig. Those words and that kind of discussion of showing my own natural hair within a character's look had never ever been discussed with me. So I got so emotional and I cried because it was such a moment of I'm being seen not only as an actress, as a person of color. Actress Monique Coleman stated, we've grown a lot in this industry and we've grown a lot in representation and we've grown a lot in terms of understanding the needs of an African American actress. But the truth is that they had done my hair and they had done it very poorly in the front. And also as a result of this, if you don't know her story, she had to wear headbands, or she decided that her character would wear headbands to cover up the damage that was being done to her hair. Natasha Rothwell, mostly known from HBO's Insecure, she stated they can wake up, roll out of bed, and don't have to worry about what's in their bag. Rothwell told the outlet in February 2020, it's a real disservice to actors of color who are effectively doing someone else's job and not getting paid for it. She also added, there's nothing more dehumanizing than sitting in a hair and makeup chair and watching your co-stars go through the works and leave, and you're still there because someone moving very slowly because they're very scared. It's you feeling like a problem to be solved. And then actor Lamorne Morris stated, I would have to go to the barbershop at 4 or 4:30 a.m. before set to get my hair cut. When I would get to set, I would see everyone else in the hair and makeup trailer getting their hair cut. When I asked why I couldn't get my hair cut at work, it was because this is what they told me. They didn't have the budget for my hair. And then this was a big story with actress Shalita Grant. She starred in NCIS and also in the TV show You on Netflix. She stated in an interview due to when she was asked why she left NCIS, she stated in an interview that due to a poor work environment, she also explained she was treated differently than the rest of her cast, and stereotypes led to her hair being damaged by the hairstylist on set. The crew decided that Grant's natural curly hair wasn't right for the show and instead wanted her to have straight hair. However, the hairstylist on set failed her and damaged her hair to the point that she was verging on baldness. This led to her having to purchase her own wigs or come to set with her hair already fixed, something that her white colleagues didn't have to do. The unequal treatment and physical and emotional damage led her to her decision to leave the show to protect herself. And number 3, pay disparities. So when it comes to pay, it has been statistically known that across the board, when it comes to race and gender, that Black women have historically been paid the lowest. So I have a couple of charts here. Unfortunately, I could not find a current one that had a complete breakdown of what I really wanted to show. But this one is a Forbes list from 2014. It states that the top 10 highest paid actresses made a collective $226 million versus $419 million made by the top 10 male actors. So just to call out a few examples here, we see Robert Downey Jr. made $75 million. Dwayne Johnson, also known as The Rock, made $52 million. Then we have Sandra Bullock, $51 million. Bradley Cooper came in at $46 million. Leonardo DiCaprio came in at $39 million. And then to call out a couple of women, we see Jennifer Aniston came in at 31 million. Gwyneth Paltrow came in at 18 million. And then Kristen Stewart came in at 12 million. And then this is another list that I found. This is the top of the Forbes 2017 list of the world's highest paid actors and actresses. So coming in at number one, we have Emma Stone with 26 million. Jennifer Aniston with 25.5 million, Jennifer Lawrence with 24 million, and Melissa McCarthy with 18 million. Going over to the men's side, we have Mark Wahlberg, 68 million, Dwayne Johnson, 65 million, Vin Diesel, 54.5 million, and Adam Sandler, 50.5 million. And I'm showing you these charts just to show that out of both of these charts, Black women and what they get paid are nowhere near these numbers. They are not even in the conversation when it comes to these kind of numbers. So as far as the pay gap goes, let's take Viola Davis, for example, a very accomplished actress, probably one of the best we have seen of our time. Viola Davis stated in an interview that she is often referred to as the Black Meryl Streep. And she stated, well, if I am the Black Meryl Streep, then why am I not getting paid as such? Another example would be Jessica Chastain once helped Octavia Spencer earn 5 times her asking salary. As you know, Octavia Spencer and Jessica Chastain worked together in The Help, and they had a conversation about pay, and that's when Octavia Spencer found out that she was not making anywhere near what Jessica was making. But Jessica stated, we're going to make the same thing. And she advocated for Octavia. And like the article stated, Octavia received 5 times her asking rate. So who are the highest paid Black actresses in Hollywood? Well, in 2021, Angela Bassett became the highest paid Black actress in Hollywood history. She managed to negotiate her salary for the TV series 911 to make $450,000 per episode, which made her one of the top earners on the show. But since then, it has been reported that Kerry Washington is reported to make $1.1 million per episode for her role as executive and star producer of the TV show Little Fires Everywhere. And then actress Zendaya also renegotiated her contract for Euphoria to make $1 million per episode. So that is progress, even though we do have a long way to go. Now the question remains, should an actor get paid for their skill level or the amount of money that they bring in, meaning the amount of supporters and the people that you know are going to come to watch their movies? For example, let's do Taraji and Brad Pitt. They both starred in the movie Benjamin Button. Taraji got $150,000, and it was reported that Brad Pitt got $10 million. That is a big difference. Now, one would say that's Brad Pitt. Of course, he should get paid the $10 million, and we know that millions of people are going to come out to support the movie. He is a good return on investment. So going back to skill level versus the amount of money that you bring in off of your celebrity name, what should actors get paid? Well, I think it should be a combination of both. Of course, a Brad Pitt should get paid millions, but a Taraji of her skill level should get paid millions as well. So why does a Brad Pitt have a more broader appeal than a Taraji P. Henson? Well, we have to go back to history, to where African Americans were not even allowed to participate in movies, film, and television. To when they were allowed to participate, they were reduced down to subservient roles, maid roles, stereotypical roles, or roles that did not allow them to be seen as fully realized human beings. And even fast forwarding to now, there are not a lot of leading roles written for African Americans, let alone Black actresses. They don't think that Black movies resonate overseas, so the money is cut there. The broader appeal is cut there. But like I said, the problem is in not just what we see now. The problem is in what has been going on, and it has been made to feel normal, because when something is constant, you start to normalize it. And a lot of times, Black actresses are just so happy to get a role or to be in the room, that they somehow feel that it's okay to accept a lower wage or not accept their worth. And that has been a repeated cycle. And as long as that cycle repeats, it's going to normalize it even more. And it's going to be even harder to get paid your worth. So, how does this all relate to The Wizard of Oz? About a small town girl living on a farm in Kansas who dreams of going above and beyond. She wants to go somewhere over the rainbow. She's kind of fed up with her lifestyle as it is, which is representative of anyone that has dreams or has goals, especially if you live in a small town. I know, and people that live in small towns know how difficult that can be to even just dream of something bigger and better. I watched The Wizard of Oz when I was a little girl, and I thought it was fascinating because it gave me a myriad of emotions, and I resonated with Dorothy because I understood her wanting to go over the rainbow to get out of her small town, to get out of her circumstances, to see what else was out there. And so, as we know, the twister happens, and she is now in the land of Oz, where she meets Glinda the Good Witch, she meets Munchkinland, and she meets all these different people that tell her, hey, follow the yellow brick road, which to me meant follow your heart. So she takes their advice, as you know, and she follows the yellow brick road. And in the midst of her following the yellow brick road, she meets some friends along the way: the Tin Man, the Lion, the Scarecrow, who are also all needing something as well, and they're longing for something different. They've been complacent for a very long time as well. As they all now follow the yellow brick road on their way to Oz, they run into the Wicked Witch. They run into a lot of adversity and a lot of ups and a lot of downs. But nevertheless, the goal is to still get to Emerald City to see the great Oz, because when you get to Oz, which is representative to me of Hollywood, everything is going to be okay. It's going to fix all your problems, and whatever you need, Oz is going to be able to deliver. So they finally make it to Oz after a long journey. I mean, Dorothy has been locked in a chamber by a witch. She's even had to take the witch out. They've all been through a lot at this point, but she finally gets to Oz. And when she gets there, they get the glitz and the glamour, same as Hollywood. You get the glitz, you get the glamour, you get the fame. The Tin Man got a new shine. Dorothy and the Lion got their hair done, got their clothes touched up. The Scarecrow got new hay, and it's great. It's amazing. There are horses there that turn colors. It's a fascinating and enchanting world, same as Hollywood. So now they're all polished up and they're ready to go. They're like, okay, we're here. We're in Great Emerald City. So they want to meet Oz, this great and almighty figure and this grand person. And lo and behold, Toto escapes Dorothy's arms, and he runs and he pulls the curtain back, unveils what is Oz, which is just a normal, ordinary man pretending to be this great, almighty Oz. And in that moment, Dorothy realizes that nothing is as it seems. And they did all of this traveling, all of this hard work to get there and not get what they were promised. And then the next part is really funny to me. This is a part I remember as a child. I giggled and I laughed for so long because the Scarecrow wanted a brain. So the next thing you know, Oz is giving him a piece of paper, I guess, which should be a diploma. And all of a sudden, he starts calculating different numbers, and he's smart now. All of a sudden, he has a brain. And then the Tin Man gets a necklace with a heart on it. Now, all of a sudden, he has a heart, and he's emotional, even though he had been emotional throughout the entire movie. And then the Lion, who wants courage, he gets a cloak. In some way, somehow, with that cloak around his shoulders, he feels that he is ferocious and has courage and is brave and can go in the jungle and be the king. And then Dorothy's like, okay, I want to go home. And Oz doesn't really have an answer for her. He even got to Emerald City himself on a hot air balloon by accident. And in the movie, he didn't even really know how to work the hot air balloon to even get himself back to where he came from, let alone try to get Dorothy back home. And then we have Glinda, the good witch, who comes in out of nowhere and says, hey, you could have always went home. All you had to do was click your heels 3 times and you would have been home. So I'm thinking, why didn't you tell her this in the beginning? But of course, if she had done that, then there would be no point to the movie. And I think that is representative of that no one can really help you. When you have a dream, no one can really stop you. Even if Glinda the Good Witch had told her all she ever needed was inside of her already, she still would have probably wanted and longed to go out there and see for herself. So I said all that to say, as it pertains to Black actresses in Hollywood, The Wizard of Oz is a huge metaphor, and to me has the best moral of the story, that all of what you've ever needed is inside of you. You can't look to these people or these machines to do anything for you, because sometimes, a lot of the times, you will be disappointed. You have to, whatever you want and need to do, you have to do it for yourself. If you want something different, if you want change, sometimes, a lot of the times, you have to do it for yourself. And Oz reminded me of Hollywood, because a lot of times things are not what they seem. You know, a lot of times Black actresses go along with the flow. They pretend, or they look happy, or they look okay, but all behind the scenes, when the curtain is pulled back, they are going through a lot, and it's not all glitz and glamour. And I think it's somewhat heartbreaking and an epiphany to, just like Dorothy, follow the yellow brick road, follow your dreams, and to see Black actresses go into Hollywood and you wanting or hoping, or you think something is promised to you, but when you get there, things are not what you were told they would be, and things are not as they seem. Which leads me to the conclusion, where do I see Hollywood and as far as Black actresses are concerned in the foreseeable future? Well, I see people like Quinta Brunson, people like Issa Rae, Ava DuVernay. I see us making our own content, creating opportunities for ourselves. I see more women like that in leadership positions, so that we can open the door or pave the way or pull out a chair for the next person coming behind us, because they are multi-hyphenates, which is what influenced me to create my own content, because I do feel that it's very important to create your own community and garner your own supporters. So at any time you need to step away from somewhere like Hollywood, you have a home and a place that you have created for yourself. Because, like the saying goes, if you build it, they will come. And I think creating your own content is very important and very powerful, because you get to put out your own narratives. For myself, I get to create narratives and create stories that I want to see. And like the great late Marilyn Monroe once said, it's not the studios that pick the star, it's the people. So if you have a favorite actress or a favorite performer or entertainer, it is the people essentially who make that person a star. It is the support of the people that help propel that person's career. So if there's an actor, an actress, or any entertainer and you love their work, it's up to us, the people, to get behind those artists and to support them and champion their work. So this was a lot in one video. I hope it gave you some perspective, some context, and some valuable information about how Black actresses in Hollywood and the pay gap and how this thing is all tied together. But it is definitely a loaded conversation. So let's continue the conversation in the comments section. So please feel free to share your thoughts in your comments. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.